Film, cinema, the movies. We all have memories of a character on the big screen that inspired us. For me, it was totally Daryl Hannah in Splash, a blonde mermaid who could talk to animal creatures. Shocking, I know. But that's the thing. It's fun to see someone you relate to on the screen, like you, but better and braver and funnier and maybe even with superpowers. My next guest is here to talk about a very special film festival, Stamped. It showcases LGBTQ film and filmmakers from all over the world, creating opportunities for viewers to not only see people like them on screen, but to also build bridges in the community. All around creative and walking proof it's never too late to come out. See David Newton.
That's clever. Very clever of you. What a great intro.
Thanks.
Really lovely intro.
Well, thank you.
I need you to come and do that intro for us at the festival.
You know, I might start renting out my services. It depends.
I think it's probably a good gig.
Once travel opens up, there may not be any holding me back, and I might need some more money.
There's not going to be holding anybody back, I don't think, when travel opens back up. Right.
So the film festival has been going on for 9 years, right?
Correct.
And
yes.
you went to the very first.
I was at the very first one, yeah. Sure was.
So what was that like for you?
Well, I had not been back home. I had moved back home, in 2007, I guess, because I've been living up in New England, working and living and having a great life up there. Moved back around the fall of 2007 and kind of rebooted career and life around 2008. So I think that first festival, 2010. So a couple of years later, we have the festival. I had some friends that were kind of variously involved with it, and that's how I knew about it. And I just kind of freaked, to be honest, because I thought, wait a minute, time out. We're having a gay film festival in Pensacola?
Right.
So
the key part of that, Pensacola, Florida. For those that don't know, Pensacola is not a big place, and it's in the Bible Belt. So just to give some context.
Yes, our very conservative area, you know. So it was, of course, it was happening at the university, so that kind of made sense, right? University of West Florida, probably a college town, college, university doing something a little bit more progressive as they were, and it was phenomenal. I mean, it really was. It was a moment for me being back home with everything else going on at the time, just to kind of take a really cool, deep, wonderful breath and think, okay, God, thank you. This is better than I expected. So, yeah.
So it was a nice, almost homecoming event for you.
It was. It was. It was really sweet. And I had a handful of friends there that I'd been on known throughout my life who were actually involved. That's how I knew. But I didn't know until kind of later, actually. So that's why I say that. I didn't know that all that planning and everything was going on until like almost the month that it was going to be happening. And that's when I found out about it. And when I did, I was like, wait, what? And of course I showed up. I was just thrilled to show up.
It is surprising because just from a population standpoint, you wouldn't guess, outside looking in, that we would have an LGBTQ community large enough to support a whole entire film festival. Not in a day. It's like 4 days of that. So I think for a lot of reasons, our little Pensacola, Florida town is unique. Yeah. But when it comes to the LGBTQ community, which, by the way, can I just suggest to the powers that be that I would like to buy a vowel for that and make it like Lego boutique or something, because it is hard to say, and I always stumble like LGBTQ. So anyway, if we just had a couple
other
vowels.
letters to add actually now.
Correct.
Yeah,
and so if we could find a letter or 3 with that's a vowel and rearrange those bad boys, I'd be really down with that. Not that it matters.
Well, not to chase a rabbit, I wish we would just say queer anyway. But
right.
And some people have, and then others still have some, in the community don't necessarily like it, but I'm a fan of it. I believe in, repurposing, and so.
Yeah, I do like
taking
that.
back that, once derogatory kind of comment and standing proud around it. So
yeah, creating a positive ownership around it. There's a lot to be said about that.
Oh yeah, I totally And some of our films have dealt with that actually. They have talked about that theme, or even their write-up that we have. They focus on the idea of that language and that particular vocabulary. So,
well, it can be pros and cons. I think we've sort of tiptoed into the subject before, just talking in life. Because it's a pro, because then you feel like, I have somewhere to belong in this little alphabet here. But on but then the con is it can be, intimidating to other people like, oh, wait, I have to label you now.
Right.
And then it's like, I think other people sometimes feel, oh, hi, you say your name and then, can you tell me what label you are?
Yeah.
And really, in the big scope of things, unless you're going to sleep with that person, it doesn't really matter. Like it matters, but it's not the main thing.
It doesn't really matter if you're going to be sleeping with them either, to be honest.
Oh, well, there you go.
I mean, if you fall in love, you fall in love with who you fall in love with, right?
Yeah.
So it's not, there's great films about that too, by the way.
Oh, great. Okay. I just heard this neat term 2 days ago. I was listening to a podcast. Shout out to Self-Helpless. Such a funny podcast, but they're talking about sexuality. And she was like, well, I call myself vibe sexual. If I vibe with you, I'm down. And I was
nice.
like,
I hadn't heard that.
I dig that. Vibe sexual.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really good.
So labels can be helpful, but they can also be a stumbling block also.
Yes.
We've gone so far down this rabbit trail,
right?
I don't even remember what the main thing was we were talking about. Oh, the uniqueness of Pensacola.
Right.
So
and that we had a festival
and
here
that we even
10
had
years
a
ago, right?
Right.
In the Commons at University of West Florida, which was amazing. And so it just kept taking off from there. They decided the history of having it is funny because Sarah Latshaw, who is a great friend and founder of the festival here, still works with ACLU. The reason that the film festival started or happened was because she was working on a project around a lesbian that they made a documentary film about, whose husband, who was a prisoner for committing murder, actually, they had a child together. He was in jail, and she came out on her journey, I guess, around that time. And so, long story short, she was trying to represent the rights of married folks and whatever, and custody sort of situations and all that kind of stuff. And so that was a documentary that was presented and everything. And so she was kind of advocating for that. So when she called up the director to show the film at the university to students and have this whole kind of conversation, the director said, "Well, I only let the film festivals show my film." And she was like, well, we are a film festival. So she just Johnny on the fly.
Oh, my gosh. My kind of lady.
She is that kind of lady. She's an incredible human being. And so there you go, voila, created the festival right out of that whole little bit. And there we go. It's been fabulous, like I said. So the next year, because it was so popular, actually, in that first year, it was very packed out. I'm in the Commons building and everything. Great discussion. And I think it was just did they show a couple of more films in the festival? I could only make it that one night, actually, because that was my work schedule. So I was kind of bummed. But anyway, I was so thrilled to know that they continued to do it, obviously. So
Yeah. And talk about Stamped. Why is it called Stamped?
Yeah, for the longest time, it was just referred to as the LGBTQ or LGBT, festival. We've picked up the Q in the last couple of years and made sure we added it in there. And so actually it was the year in 2014, I think, that they actually branded. There was the idea that the board of directors at the time, wanted to sort of brand the festival better, so it wasn't just always kind of promoting the LGBT film, Pensacola LGBT Film Festival. So there was a whole, and I understand rather, I won't say controversial, it's probably too strong a word, but they were really wrestling with what they wanted to call themselves or what to brand the festival with. And one of the ideas that floated was this idea, Stamped. And the reason that it floated up, and I think for a very good reason, was because there's real history behind the name. And for your audience, if they don't know, back in the day, especially in Pensacola, this was done nationwide, actually, from what I understand, but here in particular, it had great reason to be. And so, obviously, if you're from the area, Memorial Day is a really big blast of a vacation weekend for the LGBTQ community here in Pensacola, Florida, and that dates back way into the mid-late 70s, actually. And then over those years, it just kept getting more notoriety and popularity, so thousands and thousands of people are at our beach on Memorial Day weekend. So this starts to cause our very conservative community, as you mentioned earlier, a little anxiousness and anxiety around what all those gay people doing out at the beach and that kind of stuff, right? So long story short, they started to really, even from some business and local council people and whatever, started getting some pushback possibly on all that. And so some organizers here in our community, gay organizers, decided to underscore what it meant to have, especially to the business owners, having this population of people here around Memorial Day. So the idea was that you took your money and basically ones, right? As much as you got your big bucks changed into ones, and you stamped it all as with a stamp that read gay money across it, or a pink triangle, which has a history and representation for the gay community. So after that first summer that they did that, there was a publication, Christopher Street gay publication, that kind of keeps up with that sort of stuff, that data. And they estimated there was around $23 million that was brought in by the local community, by the visitors coming in, the tourism money that was brought into the beach. I mean, if you're here at Memorial Day and you try to get yourself a hotel or any beach house or any condo at all, they are sold out way, way, way ahead of time, right? It's rare that you'll find one if you haven't already booked it and whatnot. So yeah, no surprise to the gay community, of course, because that was the whole point.
Right.
And then, of course, the little powers that be decided, well, we might not want to protest that so much, so did we? So they picked. So the festival decided, look, we have a real history. The board of directors then decided to go ahead and call them their name Stamped, and I'm so glad they did, actually, because the following year when I came in, that's when they started referring to them Stamped, and branding and all that got started. So,
well, I think it's neat to, it gives an opportunity to tell the story of what it means instead of just like, oh, LGBTQ, oh, you know, like, not that that's not significant, but Stamped is mystery. And I think that there's power, and I know that there's power when you can have a conversation and have a relationship, which that might be the perfect segue to talk about the relationships that the film festival facilitates. Because, you know, I think that having friendships with people who are different than you, who think different than you, that's the way to have sustainable anything.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree, and that's our mission is actually, it encompasses that whole idea that we're here not just so that gay people in our community can watch films that they identify with and all that and enjoy, et cetera, but it's really to try to present a bridge to our community. So for individuals that have a family member that's gay or a neighbor that's gay and really wants to be compassionate and desires to learn and understand their neighbor, their family, their loved one better, their friend better. This is what our festival is truly trying to hit at, right? Yeah. We're trying to accomplish both of those things. And I think that if ever there's a reason to have this kind of festival in our area, it is to have it because, you know, it just provides the opportunity. We're very cognizant of that. You know, the whole way that we look at films, watch films, and try to ensure that we have every letter of the alphabet if possible represented. So that no matter who's coming in our doors, you know, someone is being impacted, someone is being educated, someone's being informed, perhaps even someone's gathering resources, you know, that they didn't even know were out there too. Yeah. So, you know, all of that's part of our planning and our way of trying to focus in and you know, hopefully inspire and if possible, you know, change a life maybe. Yeah. And I think we do that actually. I've plenty of testimonies. I've mentioned, I think we had conversations about this too, but I tell people quite frequently that as the board president over the last handful of years, I always get the very humble privilege of having folks come to me and tell me how much something meant to them. Sorry.
It's okay.
So it's always so powerful to me when somebody says, I just didn't know, you know, I just didn't know.
Just didn't know.
You know, that pain or that isolation or that frustration or whatever it is, or I just didn't know that that's what a transgendered person really goes through. Yeah. That's you know, I mean, I've had, you know, gay men and women who, you know, being transgender is a whole nother level of identity and stuff. So
you're saying even just because someone identifies as gay or lesbian doesn't mean they automatically can understand what a transgendered person is experiencing.
Exactly. I mean, I have lesbian friends, but I'm not lesbian. So, you know, walking in their shoes or having even that way, you know, have films have that incredible power just to kind of transport us somewhere and help us to live in the shoes of another individual at times and experience things in the manner in which they experience them, at least be able to see through their eyes and hear as they're hearing and see as they see, you know.
And nothing quite does that like
film,
a movie, a film. It really... it's just something unique because it takes you through that person's emotions with the music and the actors and the scenario, and it's just they can get inside the head of the person and project it outwards where you can't always do that. And what's so cool about this particular film festival, I think, is I know that there's people out there who have relatives that are in the community that, or just looking outside in, maybe they don't even know a single gay person that they know of. But they have questions, and they're maybe intrigued, curious, but they're really afraid of saying the wrong thing.
Right.
And they're afraid, oh my God, I'm going to be offensive. And then people will just be mad at me and, call me a homophobe. And what I love about this film festival is that person could show up and very passively watch the films and absorb those things without ever being put into a position to quote unquote say the wrong thing.
Right.
And then additionally the added layer of building friendships and meeting people and shaking hands, and hopefully we can shake hands again. Some of the things I still say, I'm like, oh yeah, that's.
When did we do that?
Yeah, BC before COVID.
I know, I just heard of that recently too. Yeah, the festival, as there's, I love to, there's so many stories, I can tell you of a young lady that was just struggling coming out as a lesbian and very active in her church here in our community. And long story short, was pretty much ostracized by her church, had struggles with her family, very conservative, evangelical family, and had that background as well. So she managed to wander into our festival, heard about it, and wandered into the festival, and it became a life-changing experience for her because she met friends who eventually, even some of which become mentors to her, and really just kind of, helped guide her through so much of that process, felt the encouragement, the strength, and got the support that she needed for that whole period of her life. And she's gone on and gotten herself educated and over in New Orleans now. In fact, she just bought her first house, actually. She posted, I saw that on Facebook. And she helped our festival, God bless her, a couple of years back, win a grant through the Sunday's Child organization here locally. So we were able to win a $25,000 grant in conjunction with the Pensacola Little Theater to get a new film screen, movie screen, and projector both, so that we can kind of show the quality of, that you would see at an actual theater.
Yeah.
And not have to rent it all the time. Plus the Little Theater gets to make out with the, have the festival, the screen all the time for their projects, plays, and productions. So
that's true.
It's cool. It's been a cool collaboration for us. That's been a real boon of the last 5 years. The festival used to be very transient, so we'd find places to be, like we mentioned, where it started at the UWF Commons. And we continue to have it there periodically over the years, and it's moved around. Actually, right here in the Commerce Building, it was here a couple of years, I think. At Vinyl, all over town, we've been able to partner with different businesses and stuff. Which shout out to so many local businesses because they've been fabulously supportive of us. And this past year, in particular, we had a dynamic coordinator that just really volunteered, that kind of came in and just really helped to build more bridges to some of our local businesses and stuff that supported the festival this year. So we saw a lot of our local restaurants and things kind of jump on board, and little gift shops and whatnot that we have in town. So it was fantastic. That's, again, it comes back to that mission of trying to really promote not just the festival, but the mission around the festival, which is to be collaborative with our community and provide that education and resource, and to let other entities even out there know that we are here, and then to have the resources even that as we accumulate them and become aware of them as a festival, more so kind of warehouse them, if you will, so that when we're called or asked about it, we can refer people here and there, not just to great films in our festival, of course, but even to the things that might be helpful to them and to their families. And
resources. Yeah, I love that just like the Memorial Day weekend celebration, the Stamped Film Festival, it's visibility. And when you walk down on Palafox Street during Memorial Day weekend and you see gay flags that are, showing like, hey, this is a gay-friendly business, and it's visibility. And so I think that's powerful for people that feel marginalized or are marginalized to feel not invisible at minimum.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is a phenomenal, as a gay man, it is a phenomenal experience to be in your hometown.
Yeah.
I'll probably get all emotional about this again. To walk down the street and to see a gay couple holding hands in Pensacola, Florida, periodically, I do see that. But particularly, as you were just noting too, to see somebody with a rainbow flag or a rainbow sticker in their window or their business that says, "We welcome you." You really do feel like you've come home. And that was my journey, personal journey too. I came home to come out. So when I see those things, not having been born and raised here particularly, it's a miracle. I mean, I contribute it as a real miracle.
It totally is.
Yeah, it's very life-changing, in a great kind of way, obviously. So
you came out, and then like a year later, the festival happened.
It happened right within the festival happened first.
Oh,
festival happened first.
Okay.
Because I had been home for several years and was working on another degree, and so I didn't push the closet door wide open yet.
Yeah.
I just felt like I needed to have a few other things settled, and so once that occurred, and took the steps, which is really kind of silly. I mean, to know my family, it's not even a family thing; it's a me thing. It was a totally me thing. It's not my family. Probably if it was anything, maybe it had been more cultural, which is why the significance of being in my hometown and seeing the culture start to shift and change and be more, as some people refer to as more progressive. I just like to say that be more human.
Thank you for that. I do. Yes.
Right, just to be more human.
I think we could all
loving.
benefit from humanizing others more.
Yeah.
And it's not about progressive tends to attach a political affiliation with it.
Yep.
And I don't think that is 100% accurate.
Yeah.
Nothing in this world is this or that, black or white.
Right.
And it's silly that we so quickly choose a team.
Right.
We're team humans, guys. So let's let's talk to one another.
Yeah.
Any update on what's going on with the film festival this year, or how people can connect with it?
Yes, thank you for asking that. The festival, like many other organizations, particularly nonprofit ones and other artist organizations, have struggled in the light of COVID. While we, have done well in terms of our resources and whatnot, it's the environment that's the problem. So, kind of showing up and having the ability to create safe distancing and, all that becomes much more of a challenge. Very taxing. And of course, the individuals that make up our board and other volunteers variously have had so much impact going on in their own lives. So it's just been, as you can imagine, very challenging to try to organize and pull things together in the way that we've done in the years past. So we elected, like others, in a sense, to kind of take a pass on this particular year. However, having said that, we've also wanted to, and been working on and had this already as a project, and was to redevelop our web page and site so it's much more user-friendly and provided access to areas and information even better. So we've had that underway, and we're looking forward to maybe within the next month actually unleashing that, which is very, very exciting. I previewed it, one of our board members and now committee members, and I'm sure he'll come back on the board again. Forrest Dixon has done a fabulous job with helping us to have a great website. I mean, it's really phenomenal. To me, it puts us in the league with what I've seen out there around other festivals and all. And so he's just done such a dynamic job. I'm very excited about it. So having said all that, people can go to the website, Stamped Film Fest. It's under our name, Stamped. And usually if you go Stamped Film, it's already coming up in your browser pretty quick.
Okay.
But if you need to add more of it, it's Stamped Film Festival, and you'll get us. We're really kind of up there, like I said, in the browser as soon as you start doing that. Even if you said Stamped Gay, you're likely going to get us too, I think, if I've done that before. I've tried to do all those things to see how it works for us.
See how good the back part of the website is working.
Yes.
That's good.
So, they can connect with us there. We have a Facebook page under the same name as well. We try to stay very current in any kind of announcements and other things going on. Our goal is to still have a virtual presence, even though we're not having a, quote, film festival. Mm-hmm. So we had already had some films. The process has to start very early in the year. So we didn't know, of course, in the beginning of the year where all this would be going now, right? So we do have producers and directors, whatever, who've submitted through our Film Freeway, the Film Freeway site where they submit through, and we start watching films, and all that's been underway and still happening. So we're still trying to figure out, negotiate ways that we might be able to pick up some of the films that we really, really liked that we would have put into a festival and still make them accessible to folks that find their way to our website. So that's what you should stay tuned for, because we're excited about that.
Well, by the time this airs, it'll probably be up in Firin' and Fabulous.
That will be good. You're right.
Yeah. So everyone will be able to access it, which will be awesome. And then they can stay in touch for hopefully a real life one in 2021, which will be the 10-year anniversary.
2020, no, because what happens with canceling a festival?
Oh, right.
Yeah. So
we don't get credit for that.
This is why it was such a heavy decision for the board. And it was probably one of our lengthier, but I would also say really great board meetings, because people just spoke from their heart about stuff that was really going on. And we just hadn't had that real, I think, moment with each other like that, even through Zoom. Of course, Zoom, but it was still very precious to me to watch the board and be a part of that board decision, even though it was a hard decision to make you know,
Yeah.
for everybody, but you know, a realistic one, of course, given the situation, the context that we're all in on everything. But I am still excited because you know, everybody is not losing their kind of enthusiasm for what we're doing and their desire to see us still, you know, be successful, because that's where we have amounted to. I mean, every year, particularly over the last 3 or 4, since we've been out and involved in fundraising with the Memorial Day weekend stuff, as we mentioned earlier, now our festival's out there kind of doing some fundraising each year. And so it's become a real big help to us and our goals and getting the festival further down the line in terms of some of the other things we want to work on. So not having the opportunity to do that this year was another kind of moment, you know, so. But I'm excited, and I think the board is too, about what still lies ahead. 'Cause
Yes.
there's a lot of great stuff that does lie ahead.
Lots of great stuff.
Lots of great stuff, yeah.
I'm so glad that we could talk about all the great stuff. This has been such a good chat. I feel like we took so much and just put it into our small
It is
time
hard.
together. It is
'Cause
hard, but I think we did
I
good.
could talk on and on about it too.
And I could listen on and on. So it's a good combo in most scenarios.
In most scenarios, unless you have a time limit for your podcast.
So make sure to check out that website, guys.
Yes,
and
do.
is there any final thoughts that you would like to leave us with before we wrap?
Oh, wow. Final thoughts.
So much pressure on final thoughts. Like,
Well, you know, if you haven't been to the film festival, you need to come, right? You need to come. And you just don't need to come, but you need to bring a friend or family member or a loved one, whomever. Bring someone with you, right?
yes.
So stay tuned. Like we said, go to the website, figure out what we're doing and when we're doing it. And as soon as you can get yourself to be with us, we'd love to have you. That's I do stress, as we mentioned earlier, people the way they find their way into the festival at times. And I've always stressed to our volunteer group, we've had great volunteer coordinators, board members have helped to do that with the group, that we want to be such a welcoming place. You know, we really want people to feel like it's a safe space, because many of us know what it's like to find our way along in our journey. And not be ready to maybe come out yet, or not know, or feel just isolated, any number of feelings. And so we really do prep and train volunteers who are coming to be with us for the festival to understand, and that could be who is coming through our door, right? So we want everyone to never not have a friend, basically. So you're always going to have a friend if you come to the festival.
What a perfect thought to end that on, that it is the epitome of hospitality
It is.
here in the South. Unexpected and awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
David.
you for having us.
This was
Me
awesome.
at the festival. It's been
That's
awesome.
a wrap. Great job.
Yay.